Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next member of parliament for Cumuto.Manzanilla, a young man of integrity, a young man with a vision. The next member of parliament, the Honorable Mr. Sanjiv Boodhu.
Sleeping time. Sleeping time. Oh, sleeping time.
Thank you very much, Mr. DJ. Thank you very much, Mr. Neil Patrick Joseph, the chairman of the Cumuto.Manzanilla constituency and the campaign manager for this campaign. Thank you very much to our master of ceremonies this evening. Cumuto.Manzanilla, how are you all feeling this evening? Are you feeling as great as the PNM? Are you feeling tired after a long day? All right, good. We did in fact have a long day, and let me start by thanking each and every one of you for coming out this evening after all of you were present down in Sangre Grande for our nomination day today. Thank you. Thank you to you. And you know, I just got some feedback on the live there, right, on the live stream, and people saying, but how Senator Avinash Singh said the crowd is so sick when we only seeing a few people? Well, let me tell the people viewing on the live stream, there are hundreds of people here tonight. The unfortunate reality is we have a roadway passing in the middle, and therefore the crowd is split up. So, I want all of you here tonight to make some noise for those at home looking on the live stream. Let them know how many you are. Tell them. Aye, aye, aye. Thank you all very much. All right, so down to business, ladies and gentlemen. Senator the Honorable Alison West, Minister of Public Administration. Senator the Honorable Avinash Singh, Minister in the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. Aldermen Paul Mongolas and David Gada of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation. Chairman of the Cumuto.Manzanilla Constituency and Campaign Manager, Mr. Neil Joseph. The executive and members of the Cumuto.Manzanilla Constituency. The hardworking and dedicated campaign team. The area managers, officers and members of the People's National Movement. Fellow speakers tonight, let's have a round of applause for young Miss Lynch now. What an impressive speech this evening. Residents of Cumuto.Manzanilla, friends, good evening. And I want to pay special recognition to those friends who are visiting us from outside of the constituency of Cumuto.Manzanilla. And I want to also say a very special thank you to my father, Kenneth Boodhu, Mr. Ojos, for being here this evening and for taking the platform. And I also wish to say a very, very special good evening and thank you to my mother, my brother, my sister-in-law, my wife, and my 1-month-old son, all of whom are at home looking at us on the live stream. Thank you for your continued support. Friends, we are 23 days away from the election. 3 weeks. But tonight I am pleased to report to you, the people of Cumuto.Manzanilla, that we in the PNM have successfully completed the nomination process today. All 41 candidates have successfully filed nomination papers and have made deposits. The People's National Movement, therefore, has a slate of 41 candidates in the 41 constituencies throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Now, we know what that means when I say and Tobago. All right? Other people say elections in Trinidad alone. I did not know that we have elections in Trinidad alone. But we in the PNM, as a responsible government, we have a full slate of 41 as of today. And therefore, friends, the PNM remains the only real and serious political party in Trinidad and Tobago and remains the premier political party of the region. And you know, these are things that we must be proud of as members of the PNM and supporters of the PNM. You see, the PNM has grown from strength to strength and has taken Trinidad and Tobago through some of the most difficult times, ensuring throughout that the country's economic stability and sustainability remained tantamount, so that we, the citizens, could do more than just survive. It has always been the PNM's policy that the citizens must be insulated from and cushioned against the sharp edges of economic shocks when they arise. As they do from time to time, the economy goes up and down. And as we know, an economy is a living, moving, breathing thing. And just like us, the economy experiences good times and bad times, peaks and valleys. But it takes a responsible, experienced, disciplined, and attentive government to avoid instability and large fluctuations in the quality of life for citizens during these hard times, and to be frugal, prudent, spend wisely, and save diligently during the times of excess. And the PNM has consistently taken us through these ups and downs and has done well to ensure that we do not experience these fluctuations in the quality of life. And there's a reason I want to take you through all of this about the economy this evening. You see, as of today, nomination day, the bacchanal has started, as you are well aware. Last night, in the midst of the night, like a thief in the dark, a candidate was selected, and this morning a candidate was nominated on behalf of the other side. So we know what to expect. The bacchanal has started, and we know what the campaign is on the other side. A campaign of falsity, a campaign of untruths. So today, we will be talking about, just as Eric Williams started this party, on a platform of education and information, we will be talking about the facts here in Cumuto.Manzanilla tonight. You see, friends, the PNM understands how an economy works. We have revenues, we have expenditures. And just like at home, the goal is to earn more money than you are spending. But that, however, is not always achievable. Circumstances dictate it's not always going to be like that. And when you find yourself in a position of spending more than you are earning, you usually resort to reducing your expenditure, to cutting back, spending less on things that may not be as essential, or borrowing money, or using financing options like a credit card. You may look for ways to increase your revenue. So on the one hand, you have the option of reducing your expenditure. On the other hand, some people say, well, look, I'm not reducing my expenditure. I'm going to increase my revenue. I'm going to earn more. Perhaps you open a side business or you look for a higher paying job. A government operates the same way. But the obvious and sensible question is, why do we spend more than we earn? What is the cause of that? Well, we spend more than we earn sometimes because the government is the largest employer in the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. Public servants, protective services, the police officers, teachers, doctors, nurses, judges, magistrates, CPEP, URP, the RHAs. The government also has to spend on public goods, roads, drains, water, electricity. And the government, this PNM government, historically, has also decided to subsidize several of these public goods, such as water, electricity, motor fuel that you put in the gas station. And this means that we, the citizens, pay only a part of the true cost of the item, and the government pays the other part. That is the way a subsidy operates. So your water is subsidized. The government says to you, listen, we understand the need for water, the importance of water. So we are going to pay for part of your water rate, and you are going to pay part. And that is what a subsidy is. And this system is intended to make it more affordable for us to access these services. And further to all of that, the PNM government has also decided to subsidize housing, education from infancy to tertiary level, provide free hospital care and medication, grants to those who are in need, and more. But the cost of maintaining the delivery of all of these services at an affordable cost and retaining all of these jobs at rates that have never been reduced is a significant obligation the state has on a monthly basis. Now, on the other side of things, that is in respect to expenditure. On the other side of things, we have revenue. We have the money that is coming in, the money that the government is collecting and earning. And the main method of earning money and raising revenue in any economy across the world, the most internationally common source of earning revenue is taxation, tax revenue. But here in Trinidad and Tobago, we are blessed, as we know. We are fortunate to have natural resources, and in particular, the hydrocarbon industry, the oil and gas sector. Now, of course, we have revenues being earned from exports, from tourism, carnival. Hundreds of millions of dollars, millions of US dollars come into the country every year for carnival. But the main earner for this economy is the energy sector. But energy sources are limited. They are what you call naturally depleting. One day they may run out. But further, the price for which they are sold, energy assets are sold, are set by international sources, and we therefore do not have a direct part to play in a variation in the prices. So that it is not, we cannot simply say, well, we're going to raise the price and therefore earn more. It is not as simple as that. And so it means that unless we are able to secure more energy resources, we are going to begin to run out, and therefore we will be earning less and less revenue. All the while, the expenditure remains the same. And this is how a deficit occurs. And we'll be hearing the opposition talking about a deficit budget and how many years we run that deficit. They don't tell you how long they were running a deficit budget. They only tell you how long we run a deficit budget. Falling revenue is asked to meet a fixed or even increasing cost. So the government has options. The government can cut costs, it can borrow, it can create more cash in the system by devaluing the dollar against the US dollar, or by entering into an International Monetary Fund program, an IMF program, or by securing additional revenue streams. Now, in listening to all of those options, I'm sure you would agree that the last option seems to be the most ideal. Increase your revenue and keep your costs under control. That is the logical solution. So we have a good foundational understanding of how the economy operates. We have to earn money to pay bills. And if we fail to pay the bills, those who we owe come calling. And if they come calling and they are unsatisfied with their repayments, we end up with less options to find more money. And at that point, it is attempting to borrow more or the IMF. Now, borrowing at that point in time might be out of the window as our lenders now become skeptical because we can't meet the expenses. The IMF, therefore, becomes one option, and devaluing the dollar the other. On the one hand, the IMF route, we have wage freezes, mass public sector dismissals of employees, cutting of subsidies, grants, and social programs. That is the reality of an IMF program. Now, for those of us, and I don't like to get into the age thing too much, but for those of us who are here tonight that might remember what it was like in the late 80s. In 1989, Trinidad and Tobago was subjected to wage freezes and other IMF restrictions due to our arrangements with them. How many of you all are tonight present here could remember that? I see some faces that look like they might have been around. Now, we know what happened in 1990, so I will say no more as a result of what was 1989's IMF restrictions. Now, on the other hand, we have the ability to devalue the dollar. Now, this does, in fact, result in more liquidity in the system, but it immediately results in increased prices for the consumers, for us as consumers, as the importers of the goods that we buy in the grocery, in the hardware, in the clothes store, in Ojo's, now have to find more TT dollars to buy the same amount of US dollars, so they are now paying a higher rate for the US dollars, and therefore, in the end, it is us, the consumer, that has to carry a higher price. Now, I want to pause here, right? Because we've established the foundation. And I want to move to what all of that means for an election. What does that mean for us, for you, for the people. How and why does this information affect you? The other party has been admittedly very slow to enter the race, which is surprising because they have been calling election, what it did 2 years now, yet they're still playing pickup. But in playing pickup, they have made promise after promise after promise. And in making all of those promises, they expect us, sensible people, who are informed and educated, to believe those promises and accept them as the truth, as real, hook, line, and sinker. But we know better than that. You see, some of the promises they have made, I will go through them. They have promised to start wage negotiations at 10%. So they have promised to start these wage negotiations at 10%. They're giving away more laptops, more grant, more this, more that, more freeness. So all of this freeness, all of these promises here. Mind you, when they came into office in 2010, one of the first things they did was to get rid of all the social programs, all the grants, all the initiatives that were introduced by the PNM government, which were introduced to assist you and I in our quality of living. And they're also promising to get rid of the property tax, to get rid of part of the corporation tax, and to get rid of the Dragon gas deal, and to get rid of the Guaico refinery deal. So basically what they are saying to us is they're promising to give away more and more and more while they are earning less and less and less. And this, they are asking you not only to vote for, but to accept as gospel that this is worth your vote. That is what they are telling you to accept. And that is what they are telling you to vote for. I want to talk about what other people have had to say about these promises. You see, one thing we don't do in the PNM, we don't tell you, we don't just tell you things. We don't just say things and ask you to believe it because we say it. So I want to talk about some independent, well-respected economists who have commented on these promises, and I start with Mariano Brown. And I am reading here now what Mr. Mariano Brown had to say. Here's what he had to say. This would be akin to spending your money before you had it, which is not very practical or a very sensible thing to do. It is an attempt to win favor with a share of the electorate. At the end of the day, it is the state, the taxpayer, that has to pay for it. So you can only finance those things with either more taxes or more borrowing. That's what Mr. Brown had to say. I am moving on and I'm reading again. Dr. Indira Sajiwan, she agreed that the promise might be, quote, unrealistic and premature. I wouldn't call a figure out to 10%. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done before one can determine that. In addition to which, it does come down to the issue of affordability, end quote. Another economist, Dr. Marlene Atz, and she says, quote, the proposal is risky given TNT's financial constraints. Moreover, the UNC has signaled its intent to eliminate property taxes and other key revenue sources, potentially exacerbating existing budget deficits. No, potentially exacerbating existing budget deficits. So the same talk we are hearing on their platform about how the PNM government bad because we're running a deficit budget. This economist has assessed their promises is going to send us into further budget deficits. And that is not what I have to say. That is what these independent, respected economists have to say. So friends, ladies and gentlemen, as sensible, informed, educated, and responsible citizens, ask yourselves whether you have heard one revenue earning policy from the UNC. Ask yourself, if they are presented on this campaign trail, one revenue earning policy, before considering any of the election promises made by the opposition, ask yourselves, how do they intend to pay for it? And what does that mean for you in terms of economic stability and sustainability? What we have heard is that they intend to scrap the cross-border gas deal, and they intend to jettison any arrangements to re-operationalize the refinery. And if they intend to earn less revenue while spending more, ask yourselves, where will the money come from? Short of promising that rain is going to fall with money in it, or that money is going to rain from the heavens on the 29th of April 2025, the UNC's plan for spending leaves us, the taxpayers, the public, with two options. One is a devaluation. Two is the doorsteps of the IMF. Now, consider the alternative. Rain stop. Consider the alternative. The alternative is a PNM government that has renegotiated Atlantic LNG agreements for NGC's acquisition of 10% ownership across all the 4 trains, and has secured a cross-border alliance to develop the Dragon gas field, ensuring a gas supply to Trinidad. All right? A PNM government that has ensured that the Manatee gas field is underway and has continued to work diligently to maximize revenues from the energy sector and renegotiate unfavorable terms. Consider that this PNM government has completed the Arima Hospital at a cost of $200 million less than what was budgeted by the UNC government. Consider that this PNM government has conducted repairs at the National Academy for Performing Arts, NAPA, at a cost of $80 million less than what was budgeted by the UNC government. Consider this PNM government building the QREP interchange at a cost of $219 million less than budgeted by the UNC government. Those 3 projects alone, total savings $499 million. What does this mean for you? You, the residents of Cumuto.Manzanilla. More revenue, more savings, more efficient spending. It means simply that the government can spend more on those public goods that we spoke about earlier. The roads, the drains, the water, electricity, school, health center, medicine, jobs, old age pension, grants, housing. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that when the world's economy collapsed, ground to a halt during the COVID-19 pandemic, causing Trinidad and Tobago's revenues to fall to 0, it is this PNM government that ensured that every single government employee's salary was paid in full and on time, including public servants, including public servants, the protective services, all of the protective services, CPEP, URP, all of the RHAs, including Right Aid ERHA. Not one single public sector employee lost their job, but our revenues were 0. That is performance. That is prudent economic management by our PNM government. And again, what does all of this mean for you? It means that every government worker in this constituency of Cumuto.Manzanilla continued to have a job when the country earned nothing. And therefore, each of those people could have afforded to keep their lights on, keep their bills paid, and keep their children fed. And I am not even talking about all of the COVID-19 grants that were given out. I'm not even going there. So friends, If those things are not achievements worthy of acknowledging, this PNM government still managed in the last 9 years to increase, and somebody spoke, I think it was the master of ceremony spoke about it, to increase your personal allowance to $90,000 a year. So what that means is you pay no income tax up to $7,500 a month. This PNM government has decreased VAT across the board to 12.5% from 15%. This PNM government has provided home improvement grants to persons, any citizen of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, whose earning is under $6,000 a month. Any one of you could apply for that housing grant and get it. This PNM government has exempted first-time homeowners from stamp duty up to $2 million and has provided 2% homeowner mortgages through TTMB. And 2%, let me tell you, you all know, a 2% mortgage, you cannot find it anywhere in the world. This PNM government has provided entrepreneurs, business people with $20,000 grants, not loans, grants for business startups, have allocated $500 million through FCB for low-interest loans up to $1.5 million each, with flexible repayment options for small and micro enterprises, which are 100% government guaranteed. That means you don't need to own house and land for you to go to FCB and apply as a small business owner, as a farmer, to get access to funding, to start your business, to refinance your business, to expand your business. This government created the HVIP program, which provides low-cost housing built by small contractors, small community-based contractors, which is a creation of employment in addition to the building of the home at no cost to the homeowner. And through the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service, this government, Minister Foster Cummings, offers training and certification to our youth at no cost. And they include the fields of drilling and rigging in the oil and gas sector, air conditioning and refrigeration, agriculture, including a $20,000 startup grant, and a starter home, and a 30-year lease for 2 acres of land. Aquaculture, heavy equipment operating, forklift, backhoe, photography, video production, graphic design, voice training, geriatric care, plumbing, more and more and more. What does that mean for Cumuto.Manzanilla? Well, friends, it means that when the PNM government returns to office in 3 weeks, when I am the member of parliament for Cumuto.Manzanilla, we require an allocation of resources to make improvements here at home, to finish the highway to Grandi, Manzan, Toko, which creates employment for us here in Cumuto.Manzanilla, which stimulates the economy, the local economy for us here in Cumuto.Manzanilla, and opens up the area as an accessible destination for people from across the country. Think about that. What does a road do? What does a highway do? It brings people to you. It creates the ability for travel. More people means that we are able to open more small businesses, develop local tourism right here in Guaico Tamana with our caves, our forests, our animals, wildlife, with nightlife, with local staycations, Airbnb type things. All of these things bring employment to our area along with more money in our local economy. We are able to attract more investment to this area from those living on the outside of this area. And again, more employment means more money. We are able to attract HDC and private housing developers. More residents equals more market for the small businesses, more access to markets for our farmers. And I have shared my vision for you with you for this constituency before. And it is a vision for industry in Cumuto.Manzanilla. Industry, an agro-processing industry where our farmers can enter into downstream production, taking their produce from the farm, from the field, straight to the supermarket, to the regional and international markets, to tables across the globe, earning foreign exchange, creating jobs, and creating sustainable wealth for our people right here in Cumuto.Manzanilla. Friends, we have so many things in this region of Sangre Grande, in this constituency. We have so much of talent. Look at Tiny. Let's have a round of applause for resident Calypsonian Tiny. Tamana is well placed to have our own carnival city with a local twist, our own calypso competitions, our own stick fighting panorama, local panorama, old mass, our own drama and theater school and auditorium, our own music school, right up to the production level, so that the talent and creativity of our young people can be developed and encouraged and not starved for resources. Imagine what Tiny could do with a music studio right here in Cumuto.Manzanilla. Imagine that. Imagine what young people like Young Brother could have done with a recording studio, with a producer right there in his community where he lives. Think about that. So ladies and gentlemen, this is only part of the vision I have for us here in Cumuto.Manzanilla, but it all starts with one action, with one stamp, with one finger. It all starts with electing this PNM candidate into office, into a PNM government come 28th April. It all starts with us guarding our minds, our children's minds, guarding and protecting our elderly people from the untruths, from the false promises, and from the psychological warfare on social media that the others continue to perpetuate against the right-thinking, responsible citizens of this country, all in a desperate attempt to regain access to the reins of power. And make no mistake, it's not the power they want, It is to regain control of the resources that ensure your future and your children's future for their own selfish gain, for the gain of their friends, their finances, their family. Let us not forget the scandals gone by. Nobody knows, no screening. And that person is coming in the next 3 weeks to ask you to put God out of your thoughts and vote for the same old absentee member of parliament again. Consider their slate. But you can't consider it a slate, a full slate. But consider the partial slate that they have. Whether you could see any of them being ministers, being in charge of your money, being in charge of your future. Consider a certain ex-policeman. You could see as Minister of National Security. That's what we're doing? Is that what we're doing? Last night, that goodly gentleman said on their platform that he finds that 18-year-olds and 18-year-olds in Trinidad, that is 2 years to go of still being a teenager, 18 years old, should be able to get gun licenses. So while we here in the PNM are trying hard to keep young people away from guns, away from gun culture, keep guns away from our young people, them policy is to come here, look, take it, 18 years old. Fix crime by giving away a gun. Anybody who reach 18. Is that what we are doing, ladies and gentlemen? And they try to clean up the house, I'm sure you noticed, right? They got rid of some and all of that, right? And they're picking up and they're scraping up as they go in to make up a slate. So they leave out some of the opening batsmen. And they leave them out because they have serious questions to answer. Well, you remember live sport? Do you remember live sport? I will say, what I'm going to say, I will continue saying it until this campaign finishes. You have a man who is vying for another seat, not the one he currently holding, He going to the next constituency, and this man is on $1 million bail, having been charged for a serious criminal offense. Does any one of them display to you the qualities, the capabilities, decency, integrity that is necessary to manage this country, to manage your money? Ladies and gentlemen, do not be misled by the desperation of others to get into office. They have demonstrated time and again that they will say and do anything to get into office. But you ever see a dog chasing a car? If the dog catch the car, does he know how to drive the car? He can't drive the car. Right? So the dog running on the car, I want to catch this car, I want to catch this car, I want to catch this car. You catch the car, and then what? And then what? That is the same thing that they are promising you. They have demonstrated that they are simply incapable of good governance. They are incapable of putting you above their own selfish needs and greed for the power and public purse. Friends, exercise your right to choose responsibly. Remember that your one choice has lasting, long-term effects for every citizen and their children. Do not permit yourselves to be distracted by the promises that you know are too good to be true. Just remember, especially to young people in the audience, just remember, if it's one thing you remember that I said on this platform here today, nothing worth having comes easy. I'll say it in the next way. Good thing, not what? Good thing, not cheap. So when things are too good to be true, it is too good to be true. So closing, I encourage you to perform your duty, to take part in your democracy, to vote for competence, to vote for a proven track record of responsible performance, to vote for a team that has the right people for the job, for decent, upstanding, responsible, right-thinking patriots on the PNM slate of candidates of 41. Cumuto.Manzanilla, listen to me. Rise up, wake up, get up, PNM people. On the 28th of April, we have a job to do. Get up early, say your prayers, feed your children, feed your husband, feed your wife, and go out to the polls and vote resoundingly for the People's National Movement, for Sanjiv Boodhu, for Cumuto.Manzanilla, so that we can come together and say with one voice, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we shall prevail. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.